you can just turn me up.
Yeah, continue. Or you can use that mic there.
Is that one better?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get it going. Just give me 1 second.
When were you guys are the first people to hear our new song?
Try talking, Stewart.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, it's good. It's got a really.
All right, everybody. Good afternoon. As you guys know, my name's Stewart. Thanks everyone for coming out. I'm just going to share a little bit of my story with you. Before I do that, I just want to thank. There was supposed to be more summer students here, but just want to thank Shay and all the summer students. Just give them a round of applause for just doing what they did yesterday. Our Arts of August will never be the same for them. They're going for the rest of their lives hating art and hating August. I'm just joking. So yeah, I'll share my story with you. Born and raised in Hamilton. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I grew up, the home that I lived in, it was, looking back, I know that my mom and my dad did the best that they could, but it was an abusive situation. My dad, he's an alcoholic and abused my mother a lot, and my mom, she fought for a long time while we were young, but as the fighting just continued, she lost her fight and ended up, from my view, in a sense, giving up and joining my dad. So my brother and I, who were at the home, he was a year and a half older than my brother. It was like very, you got to do the right thing. If you don't do the right thing, which is what my dad says, we would get beat, hit, food not given to us, like all that kind of stuff. We would watch my dad beat my mom, and then get threatened that if we said anything to the school, that he would do that again. And just to give you kind of a setting of how the way I view the world and how as a young child I was influenced. I wasn't allowed to touch the TV remote, I had to ask to use the bathroom, only 1 glass of water, 1 glass of juice. It was just a very strict and abusive situation. And then when I turned 14 or 15, I did find a summer job, and I saved up, and back then it cost $500 for a 20-inch little crappy TV. You get a nice 40-inch for that amount today, but and I also bought a PS2. My dad came in and he was really drunk, and he said to me that I wish I was never born, I'm a mistake, and all this kind of stuff. And by the end of that, I was 14, scrawnier than this, and punched a little hole in the wall, and then the police ended up coming, and I was asked to leave. I moved in with my sister after that, who has her own addiction, and then I ran away from there because it was a really rough situation. So I was 14, 15, living on the streets of Hamilton, didn't know anything about CAS, trying to go to school, and then I found my life going into the streets. And the way that I survived is I would steal groceries, anything that I could do to make some coin, to pay my bills, be on OW, but make that cash on the side. And eventually got caught. I got caught for the dumbest things. I'd be able to steal a PS2 or something like that, but then I would go to Dollarama and steal a chocolate bar or gum, and I'd get caught for that. One time, I got caught from Sobeys stealing chicken wings, and this elderly lady came and grabbed my wrist, and then I was like, "Listen, lady, just let me go, please, just let me go." She wouldn't let me go, and then I had to run, and this guy who we call Heroes chased me, and he chased me all the way across the highway in Burlington, and for chicken wings, and the police stopped both ways, traffic, asked me and my friend to go on our hands and knees, and they thought we were trying to steal that old lady's purse, the security guard, but no, we were just trying to get some chicken wings. They all laughed at us, but I still had to go to jail. In and out of jail from when I was 14 as a youth to 17. Then when I was 17, my mom, she got diagnosed with lung cancer. And I heard that in jail. I didn't really understand the implications of that. And then when I got out a couple months later, she went in for radiation. And when she did that morning, so she got it around 6, and then that morning around 4, she had a stroke. And that's what took her life. And I haven't felt emotional about that in quite a long time, but I feel pretty emotional about it right now. So 2 hours before she passed, I met my aunt, her sister, that I never met my entire life. she stopped coming around because of my dad, and then that's how I got like introduced to church. She was going to church, and I would go with her and her family to just kind of have a relationship. Like her and my mom looked pretty much identical, and there's like a lot of similarities. Like you hear my loud, obnoxious laugh, like that's where that comes from, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to get to know her, know a little bit more about history, like my past and like my mom and stuff like that. But yeah, like I still don't fully understand like the effect that had on my psyche and and the trauma that I feel from that. Still working that through. But yeah, I also through church found this ministry called, or they found me, I should say, Liberty for Youth. Like I used to go play basketball at the Y, and he was there, and he asked me to be a part of his program. We played basketball like 5 days a week, and go to church a lot of the times, and he really wanted me to change my life. I didn't really want to change at the time. Like I stopped stealing. Church helped me stop doing that kind of stuff, but I really didn't stop drinking and partying. And he just really like had numerous conversations with me, and I just got my GED. I was 18 with 11 credits. Felt like a loser. So all my friends going to university, college, like the whole graduation experience and high school experience I missed out on. And he's like, no, like I want you to go to Bible college instead. So I was like, okay, like if you think that's helpful, it's free. I don't have to pay for anything. Let's do this. So I went to Bible college for a year. I didn't drink. I was sober. I met a lot of good people in there. I understood about God. I started understanding about God, in particular Jesus, and what that looks like, and what Christianity looks like. And I found like a whole new set of friends that didn't drink, didn't do drugs, and they're all just like playing basketball, loving God, doing that kind of stuff. So then I fell into that, and it was a good time for a couple of years. I really learned a lot. I also needs to do a lot of unlearning from that because I was really vulnerable in that, and like not knowing a lot about religion and Christianity. So a lot of the doctrines or teachings that they preach at this particular church is not stuff that lines up with me today. So yeah, like I still again have to do like a lot of unlearning from that. Like for example, like I don't know what everyone's belief is here, but having enough faith or stuff like that. If you're going through a difficult situation, it's because you don't have enough faith, right? So that's like the kind of stuff that they were teaching. For me today, like I know that it's not about that, but yeah, it was still a good experience. And then what happened to me is I ended up drinking, and alcoholism came to rear its ugly head again. I didn't know I was alcoholic at the time. I thought I just had a drinking problem. What happens with me when I drink is if I have one, I might be okay that night, but then it prolongs itself to 2 or 3 or 4 days after. And I ruined a lot of relationships back in my early 20s because of that. I ruined a lot of jobs. So it's not as like bleak. I'll try to keep it funny sometimes. So I would get a job. I can get a job pretty much no problem. I can talk, get my way to the interview, get my foot in the door. When I got a job at Tim Hortons, I lasted there 2 days. And then what happened after that, they gave me a belt. I still have the belt. This is 12 years ago. I still have the Tim Hortons leather belt. It's solid. You know what I mean? So yeah, I struggle with drinking, and people, they try to surround themselves around me, show me love, show me what a family looks like. But I'd be sitting in that spot knowing that this isn't my family, knowing that like I understand what they're trying to do, but I still feel like somewhat of an outcast. So and when I drink, it's just like all the voices in my head stop, all the anxiety, all the fear, everything that's like bent up and wound up. When I drink, it just feels like I could breathe. So I was bouncing around in different places again, like I was in my early teens. And a friend of mine was like, look, you can come stay with me as long as you go to Teen Challenge. And I was like, hell no. This thing's a 1-year program. I couldn't do anything routine-wise, for a week, like I'm not trying to, we got a 3-week program about that life, but not a year. And then slowly I kept drinking, and then that seemed like a good idea. So then I did the Teen Challenge thing for 6 months. I didn't last the whole time. I ended up drinking at Teen Challenge, and the way that happened, it was like out in like the boonies, and it was the winter time. It was the day before Valentine's Day, and me and a couple of the guys were like, okay, yeah, if we graduate after the 1 year, let's party. And that like 6 months down the road turned from like, oh, let's do it like a few months from now, and so, oh, let's do it then next week, and then until I'm like, I'm doing it tomorrow. So when I ran off the farm, I drank, I got kicked out, and then when I came back to Hamilton, the people that I was staying with said I couldn't stay there anymore. So I was homeless for the first time, and I was living at the Salvation Army, and that at 23 years old was one of the most scariest experiences of my life. Like, my family at the time, they didn't understand what alcoholism is as an illness. I thought there was something morally wrong with me, that I just I didn't have enough willpower. I thought that I could just stop on my own, not understanding that it's a mental illness. And they didn't understand either, and nor do I blame them. I spent a year and a half homeless in the Salvation Army. I would try to get back up to like what a good citizen looks like, but I could never. I would get all that, get a job, have enough money, just about to get a place, and then it all would come crashing down because I drank. And then one night, I ended up passing out in like an apartment building lobby. I didn't live there, obviously, and the police came and they picked me up. And for the most part, I'm not a fan of the police. I'm not a fan of the way they do things. But this police officer in particular, instead of taking me to the holding cell, he took me to detox. And that was the first time I ever got introduced to detox. I thought I just had really bad hangovers. It wasn't that. Like, I would have the shakes, hallucinate, hear things, and I had no idea. And then that was the first time I got introduced to that. And then it wasn't the last time, though. But I'm really thankful that detox has been there for me. So through that, I got introduced into AA. AA really helped simplify what spirituality means for me and for myself. I am a Christian, but when I watched, and one of the things that church taught me was that, there's a scripture that said, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And that means that we're right, essentially, and everyone else is wrong. But then as I went to AA and I saw other people who didn't necessarily believe in Jesus the way that I believed in him or called him, I saw their lives change. So that kind of opened up my mind. Maybe the name and what that looks like and what I think this is, it doesn't really matter. Maybe this is all about love. Maybe this, even if they call it a higher power, I think God can handle being called higher power. Whatever that looks like, I think God just cares that we're talking to him, right? Or her. I struggled in AA, consistently relapsing, consistently going in and out of jail. And then what happened was, this is 2 years, I could barely scratch get a week. And finally, I don't know what happened with me internally, but I was I can't do it anymore. Again and again, I just couldn't do it. And then I was in this basement in an AA meeting, and I read a line in the big book, which is the AA literature, and it said, either God will remove the obsession to drink or he won't. And for me, what that meant to me was, in AA, you got 12 steps, in Christianity or in whatever, you have this, and then you'll get this expected outcome. You got the 10 steps to success. It makes it seem like you have all this control and power, and to me, in my life, and I just need to do blah, 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 and I'll get this. But for that, in that moment, I realized, there wasn't enough wrong I could do to make me drink, and there wasn't enough things that right I could do to make me not drink. It wasn't up to me. And that was the first time in my life I experienced what God's grace is that it doesn't matter what I do, I'm just loved for who I am in that moment, and that empowers me to do whatever that is, or whatever the next thing is. And I was free because, you hear things like triggering or anger, or, if you're afraid, this will make you drink. But, every human, or I don't know what your thing is, obviously, mine is drinking, but whatever we try to stay away from, and try to put to the side, and try to either not neglect or do stuff to try not to do that. For me, I put these laws on myself, and these weights that I and these expectations that I can never fulfill. And for me, what I do today is that it's just an in the moment kind of thing, and that God again empowers me through. It doesn't matter what right or wrong I think I need to do. It's just God's love that empowers me to be able to do the next right, whatever the next right thing is. So for the first time, I'm 6 months sober. Everything's great, but I can't get away from this abusive relationship that I'm in. Some relationships to me are like alcohol. I just can't get away from it. I don't know why I'm in it, and then when I leave, I love being in it, and then it gets crappy, and then I'm away, and then I'm like, oh my God, what the heck? But then I find myself back in it again. And then I found a guy in AA who was like, and this is what I mean about alcoholism. If you don't know, it's not just about drinking. It's in AA. And take this with a grain of salt. There's a certain selfishness or entitlement or self-centeredness because of trauma or life experiences that a lot of people who have addiction suffer with, and that is the root of my problem. And the way that I see the world, I usually try to look for what I can get instead of what I can give. So the sponsor at the time totally rearranged my life. I was going this way, and I thought I was just going to do the same thing, get sober, get a job, blah, blah, blah. But I totally listened to this guy, let go of everything that I thought that I knew at the time, and my life took a curve where I met my nephew. I let go of all the friends that I thought were my friends for a time. I met my nephew who I didn't know even existed. So the minute I let go of people, new people came in. I met my girlfriend, who we've been together 4.5 years. That was amazing, and then the way I got a job, everything just lined up for me, and then things were great for 2 years. Let me see how much time I got, because I know Al really wants to sing. So I thought everything was good, and then what happened was, I have a best friend. I used to have a best friend, Dan, and you can look this up. They say, there's love between partners, but a bromance is even deeper than that kind of love. You can look it up. So me and this guy had we got each other, we loved each other, saw everything the same way, and he was addicted to heroin, and then fentanyl came in the mix, and he overdosed right before New Year's Eve, and that changed my life. I'm still not the same person as I was back then. I still don't have the same fervor and motivation to do things, because life sucks. Life is terrible. This idea that the American dream and you get what you want if you work hard for it and all that kind of crap. It's not how it is. I was heartbroken. I couldn't move. I fell back into drinking, even worse, and I would get periods of sobriety. I was working at a Christian television station, and then they asked me to do this thing for the opioid crisis in Canada. So now I'm in this place of being nationally televised, but I feel like I'm being a phony because I'm presenting this way. I'm presenting myself to the world in this way, but deep down, I know that I'm doing things behind the scenes, and it all eventually caught up with me. But I was able, through God's grace, to do that in honor of my friend, and that meant a lot. And then things were going good right after. I was sober. I did lose that job right after. They were like, we gotta let you go, man. You're nuts. Yeah, understood. Got you. Clear. Just make sure I get EI. Man, you guys gotta laugh, man. Come on. I can't tell because of the mask. This is a funny, good, sad story. It's all good in the hood. So I thought everything was good. 6 months go by, I'm sober again, woohoo. And then my brother, who's not even addicted to drugs or alcohol, he's able to drink, pick it up, leave it alone. He partied one night and he did coke, and there was fentanyl in the coke, and I got a call saying that he's in the hospital, he's drunk. I thought it was one of those things, he's going to stick an IV and he's going to be good to go. I'm going to call him an idiot and see him the next day kind of thing. But it wasn't like that. He was on life support. And grief, I don't know what happens, but it was another layer. He ended up dying, and that was another thing. I was I don't know what life is throwing at me. I can't handle the things that I'm going through. I went to grief counseling. I went to therapy. I prayed about it. I read stuff. I talked to people about it. None of that stuff ever did anything for me, and I don't know why. And today, oddly enough, some of it does stuff, but in that moment, it was just I was heartbroken. And yeah, again, I drank extreme, worst, one of this, I'll compare it to when I was homeless. And yeah, I ended up passing out outside. My neighbors now know I'm an alcoholic. And I'm wearing the same clothes, just doing that kind of thing, and ended up in detox again during Christmas. And one of the most annoying withdrawing at Christmas at detox, the workers there came in elf costumes. Merry Christmas! I was like, back. You want any milk? No, I'm good. Thanks. Yeah, so I went through that process again. 6 months. It's like the same story. 6 months later, 7, 8 months later, I'm still sober. And then my girlfriend's brother dies from a fentanyl overdose. And that was crazy. And I drank again. And then my cat died. And then my other cat died. And like this story, I'm not trying to make it sound bleak, but I'm just trying to say like life sucks. And the way that I thought life was going to go when I was like early, like your guys' age even, it is not the way that I thought it was. And in the midst of that, I think my experiences, I think I could have handled stuff better. But through that process, I truly understand, like, I have a level of compassion for those that are grieving. I have a level of empathy. Not that and grieving looks so different for everybody, not because I grieve this way, I understand what that person is going through, but there's a certain camaraderie. I'm dropping words that I don't usually use. I don't know if it's the mic. Camaraderie. I'm pretty proud of myself right now. Yeah, and by the patience of my girlfriend, I put her through hell through all of that, really scared her, and I guess my point to what I'm trying to say today is that the story that I'm in right now is not my own. It's the one God or love or higher power has already set out for me. I can fight against it all the time, but I seem to always end up back in the same place of realizing that I'm loved. I have the capacity to give and receive love. I still have troubles with intimacy. I'm sober today. I don't do things that I would do when I was in my early 20s or a couple of years ago. It's a gradual change. I don't want to. People, when they share testimonies, they usually come up and be like, "I'm good now." No, I'm like, I got a long road. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Odette? Hey, on the phone there? I'm just joking. No, and it's, and being here with you guys, I get to reflect. I've received the love and compassion from a lot of people here other than Odette. Kathleen, Karen, Kyle's been great, Al, Elizabeth, Jen. You guys are okay. I'm just joking. Yeah, you too. But yeah, if there's anything I could just encourage everybody is that whatever you're going through, you are loved. There's nowhere. How do I put this? Each moment is new. I get to experience this moment with you guys right here. I'll never probably get to do it again in the same way. So wherever your heart leads me, leads you, do that. Make mistakes, screw it up. Screw what people think. They're going to hate you anyways. And just try to have a good day and be day makers. Thanks. I think I have enough time for Al. Thank you so much.
Thank you.